Welcome back to the Berg Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. With me today is Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
And Dan.
Hey, everybody. That was lower than normal,
was,
right? That was like Isaac Hayes level 4.
I paused for a second because it threw me off. I was like, oh, I got to introduce Dan still.
Yeah. It's hard to follow that up with Ford.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to have to lower my voice an octave here to keep up.
If we start one of those, what do you call the groups, the like acapella
groups?
Yeah, but they have like 3 people. There's a name for that, whatever that is. We could do that. Ford would definitely be the low guy.
Yeah. I don't know what that's called, but I know.
I think I'd have to be the high person.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at. So I'm off key no matter what. So yeah,
it's not going to sound good. I can guarantee
off key and off the rails in 3 seconds. Let's do this.
There we go. All right, Brian, what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about, we actually just had the opportunity to celebrate some of our folks this week. What's cool is we actually last week or 2 weeks ago, in an episode, we were sort of talking about like the getting through, right? And I don't know why it didn't occur to me at the time, but we've actually, part of our success is the getting through. A lot of companies haven't made it 20 years, right? And we're coming up on our 20-year anniversary. We're closing in on it. And the thing that comes along with being a company that's survived and had some success over the course of 20 years is you've got some folks who've been around. And so that's what we did recently. We got to celebrate some of our folks who have been with us for 5 or more years. And a couple new additions to the group, right? Ford's mom, right? Carol made the list.
I mean, she'd probably claim that she's been around. She's been on the team for 41 years. But
the fact that she doesn't listen to podcasts and makes this safer, but it is kind of hard to say Carol's been with us 5 years, but I'm pretty sure she's been with us 41.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've only been paying her for 5 years. So. Well, does that count?
Sure, that's what we'll go with.
And sometimes the way she works, I mean, if you did how many people she
if you did the equation on how hard she works,
the number of steps. She has the number of steps at an employee that's worked for probably 41 years.
That would be a difficult conversion, but yeah. But also on the list is Gary Rambo. Yeah. Gary's been, I can't believe it's only been 5 years.
Yeah, Gary, it's hard to believe that it's only been 5 years.
Yeah.
Gary, if he hears it, will probably take that as an insult, but I just mean we've done so much work in 5 years that it seems like it should have been longer than that.
Yeah. And Ben Swisher is on the list.
Yeah, Ben, same way. Ben, it's hard to remember, and maybe part of it's age, right? Because Gary and Ben, I feel like have been with us longer, but if you said Geezy's been with us 5 years,
right,
then I feel like Geezy's been here a long time, but I feel like Geezy's like 24 years old. So when did he start?
Right.
12?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And at least 18, according to the insurance companies.
Yeah, according to the insurance companies.
And while Geezy's 5 years feels about appropriate to me, at least because, like, we've had the chance of watching Geezy kind of turn into who he is, which is kind of fun. Yep. With Ben and Gary, they're varying levels of experience, and some of the stuff that they've done while they're here, right? The projects that they've been on. I don't know. It does feel like it's been for me more than 5 years. But
I do know that Geezy was not 21 when he started.
Okay.
No, and as Brian was saying there, the big thing with Andrew is that like we've seen his growth pattern as a person, as a part of our team,
right?
And it's been monumental in those 5 years. But at the same time, both Ben and Gary came to us with a wealth of knowledge,
right.
And so. If you asked me the list, like last year when we were first able to do this celebration, I kind of assumed that some of these guys would have already been on the list,
right? Yeah.
And also with the last couple of years of COVID, like dates and times are all skewed by
everything's like pre and post now.
What's funny too is at least I can't really mention it. And his nickname was Donnie, right? So Geezy's nickname is Donnie. And I just recently heard the story of it, but we won't get that far off the rails. But so it's hard for me to separate Geezy and Ben, right? Because Geezy came in, he was really young, and he went to work with Ben. And Ben sort of fostered him and took care of him and took him under his wing.
Mentored
him. And he got him on his way to being a foreman. And that's something that Ben, it's one of Ben's strong suits. Ben's been able to take a lot of younger guys with varying levels of experience, but good work ethic, and help them to get on their way. Christian right now, and he's getting Christian in the same model where Christian's learning everything and learning what he has to do and learning the way from Ben, so it's something Ben does. I mean, Gary does that as well,
right?
But he didn't do it with guys as young.
Yeah.
I guess, Cooper was pretty young.
Yeah,
Cooper was pretty young.
Yeah.
Cooper didn't work out the same, but
We'll
it
see.
was similar.
I still think
similar
Cooper's coming
example.
back someday.
Yeah?
I think he's just going to get sick of just driving like, hay around in a circle. Eventually, he's going to get bored of this Ford.
Maybe. We'll see.
I saw him today again driving tractor trailer, and I was going to text him, bust his chops, like, he done be a truck driver yet? But I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna let that be.
It's funny. I almost called him last week, and I don't need Cooper to do anything. Like, we're in really good shape. Justin's doing a great job. It was literally, I was just gonna bust his chops, just because I saw actually a beam truck. I saw one of Maddie's trucks pulling out, making a turn on 345. I was like, I should call Cooper and just bust on him a little bit, but I left him alone.
Oh, because he grew up with us too. But no, Gary, of these people, it's such a difference in what they do for the team, and while all valuable, it's so different. Like Gary came in and joined us with a lifetime of experience already, and actually helped us learn things that we didn't know about the landfill business, just because he's forgotten more than we had even known at that point. Ben came in, we were just starting the commercial division, and, he already had experience from other companies. And so he was able to help us with that. And I think he came in just as an operator when he first joined us.
He did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He came in just as an operator. And I mean, one of his jobs that I remember actually was when we worked at Hill School. And Ben does seem to find his way to tricky, difficult jobs. Not big, but tricky and difficult. And, there's always something not quite right. And Ben would make like a Ben sourpuss face, like, woe is Ben. But I mean, he does really well there. He succeeds there. He's able to manage the pressure and the clients and the needs and get things done. And he's an operating foreman in the strongest sense of the word. I mean, Ben he's always busy, always working. And Geezy follows that lead. So it's there are so many different variations of this Ford. With you get into some of the guys that are already in the group. And you take you take like a JD or Scott Gardner. You know what I mean? Again, different. JD came in with a fair amount of experience in what he did when he was with his former employer, and he's really just built onto that and developed skills that enable him to oversee 4 or 5 crews now. And you have Scott, who the opposite end. Scott could completely run a company, but didn't have a lot of experience in what it is we do. And now you just see the knowledge that these guys possess and what they're able to do every day. And it's amazing what they've done in 5 or in more years, because we have one guy, right? Joe Griffin is the first one. He hit 10 years last year.
10 years, yeah.
So I mean, I remember I met Joe. I don't know the day he was hired, but it was Ford brought him down. We were at Glaxo. I obviously didn't work for Ford yet, and he introduced me to Joe, and that seems like a lifetime ago. You know what I mean? Like if you had told me that was 10, I'd say, it's like 15, 20 years ago, because time is a funny thing that way.
It is. Yeah.
Well, and it's also part of like our growth pattern, because you're like, okay, the company's almost been around 20 years, but like the longest current term employee is only 10 years. 10, right. But it's like those first years when you're only 1 or 2 people, and people move on to other things. And so it's an honor that people have been willing to be on this ride with us for this amount of time, and all the changes and transitions. And they have the fortitude to stick through it. And Joe, I remember, because we were at the greenhouse still where I lived, and had my office in the first floor when I first met him, because another previous employee had brought him in because they'd worked together somewhere else. And I remember meeting him and chatting, and I didn't even know him because he's been a local just like myself for most of his life. And I didn't even, like, for certain people in life, you just don't, you run in the same circle, but you don't really run next to each other. And he was local, and we were able to come to an agreement. And, he's the man you called for years, but if you needed something, Joe would make sure it got done.
Oh, he still makes sure everything gets where it has to go. He
gets where it needs to be.
I don't know how many miles he's driven, but it's
yeah. He puts a lot of miles on the road.
He does.
Some heavy, stressful miles too, with like the heavy haul stuff and that kind of thing. Like there's some definitely some
oversides, whatever it might take. Yep. Yeah. So this is the second year we've done this event, and that's fun, right? Because when you do something for the first time, you're sort of like, all right, that was fun. But when you start to make a pattern out of being able to do it, that it create that consistency, I think it's been neat. Tracy, of course, did a fantastic job setting it up, the balloon arch and coordinating the meal and the heritage. We did a nice job with food. But I think that like following sort of that pattern of, well, well, creating a place where people want to be, first of all, is how you get 5, 6, 10-year employees. But the other thing that comes, I think, is like the pattern that we've tried to start to creating opportunities to celebrate with each other and each other's success. These little check-ins, these meetings, these group events. I think that watching that group grow is neat. So
Well, especially after the last couple of years and the unknown thing we're talking about, but it's just neat to sit down, socialize.
Voldemort, right? We're still talking about.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about
It's a good reference.
in a previous podcast, like the one day I was out there in the field and it was at the end of the day and the guys were just standing around and shooting the breeze, just having a conversation that wasn't time sensitive, and the spouses get to come that are available get to come along to this event, so we get to meet some of the extended family if we hadn't in the past, and so it just kind of creates a little bit more of a connected culture, as we're always trying to do. But this is just a defined group that has a particular timeline that they've spent with us.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting to me is so when my father-in-law passed away and we had his service right before the thing that shall not be mentioned shut the world down.
Yeah.
And so SEI, he worked at SEI and he worked there for 45 years. And SEI ended up taking care of the whole service. They said it was local to them, which was a choice of ours, but then they helped us take care of it and they set it up. And the number of people that came and the number of people that had been there 30 plus years, and it was really something. And at the time I thought, like, this is a throwback. Like, this isn't how the world is anymore.
Yeah.
But now we're 20 years in and realistically 10 to 11 years in of really being similar to what we are now,
Right.
where we really Ford started to grow the company and have multiple, larger crews. And I feel like we could be that thing. Like, maybe it's not time sensitive, maybe it wasn't a time and a place where that was a thing that you would do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we, we're trying to build this culture genuinely to be a place that you want to be and that people want to work at for a long time, that we could be a place that people retire from, and you see Joe Griffin work here 30 years, Joe Stauffer work here 30 years, you see these guys work here for their careers. And I just think, like, imagine the camaraderie, and that's what makes this particular event a little bit different. When you have the baseball game or we do the corn maze or something, everybody's there and it's amazing.
Right.
But when you start to get this group, it's people that have known each other and they've, they saw the person have kids or get married, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They saw their progression of their life, and we're involved in it and we're a part of it. So it really becomes something that's a little bit more than just a gathering of employees of the company. It's really people that have spent a significant part of their lives working together.
And we're here. I mean, regardless of how we try and define and commit to strong work-life balance, you spend a lot of time at work. So these people have really done life together. So it's neat.
Yeah, no.
Well, another one of the members, Kelly, it was funny. I ran into the high school coordinator for co-op program, which is like for their internship.
Yeah.
And we got talking, and like Kelly was a high school intern, and now, she's got children and, started at just answering phones and now, handles payroll and stuff like that. And so that's another one of those where I think in the younger people that are part of this, like in age wise, not for how long they've been here, but you get to see such a different growth pattern because there is so many monuments happening in their life in a short time frame, the Geezys and stuff like that. Like, you see things like that. And with Kelly is too, because I just remember her being here sitting at the side desk. She wasn't
at the front desk,
No.
right? She was at the side desk. Yeah.
And she's here in the afternoons or whatever it was, coming in during her internship, and like that, you see so much more growth, even though it's not much different. It feels different to you.
I remember that. It's funny now that Tracy works for us. We talk about that story from time to time where, Kelly came to me and she was like, "I'm not sure I want to go to college." And I'm like, "Well, I've got a job for you. You can stay here." I think
we don't want your mom and dad showing up being mad that we tried to recruit you away from that.
I don't know that was the news Tracy wanted to hear, but I think she sees that it was a good decision. So
yeah, and also just because Mother's Day is coming up, and my mother is 5 years in this thing, like it's difficult, but like she's just done so much for me, and I may have to take over, but no, I mean, like, her work ethic is second to none, and just thank you.
Yeah. She she does. She sets an incredible example, right? And you know, um, it's not a family owned business, but you can't find much of a better example of a family business. The way your parents and your siblings have sort of committed to being part of the Berg story. So,
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, the number of stories, honestly, that center around Carol, are just, I mean, I use a lot of like New Jersey type
Yeah.
language, not in a bad way, but like the number of men that she has just taken to the woodshed from a work standpoint. I mean,
Run them off after a day
just
type
run them
thing.
off. They don't even make it till 10 a.m. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had, we've had guys that were like, well, he had just come back. We delayed starting him because he had gone through basic training.
Right.
He made it
Yeah.
through basic training, and at 10 o'clock he quit.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't hang with Carol. You know what I mean? And the Carol stories, Tom's already in the group, but
Right.
like Tom catches a little bit of ribbing for, for some of the things with Carol, and there's like little stories that I'll keep it between me.
Sure,
Ford knows
sure.
the stories, but Carol, she's got a personality that a lot of people don't get to see,
Yeah.
in a certain way about her, but her work ethic, just, I mean, she wears ankle weights when she works. Like she's not just out working you.
Right.
She's wearing weights to make
Yeah.
it more exercise. Like
Right.
it's the kind of thing that's just like insulting to the person that you're working with who thinks they're going to die.
Yeah, she'd prefer not to use a piece of equipment if she can do it by
Yeah.
hand or by
Yeah.
foot because she wants the extra.
She wants the exercise. I
Yeah.
mean, when we
She
do snow,
only shovels snow. She refuses to do anything but shovel the
but
snow.
shovel. I mean, and when
And she gets mad if she doesn't get called in.
Hand spreading salt.
Yes.
hand
right?
spreading
I mean,
salt. Well,
yeah,
how about she paid for gym memberships that were near the snow sites because when
Right.
everyone else went to sleep, she would go swim
She would
laps.
go
Like
swim
it doesn't even
laps
make
in
any
the gym.
sense. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's the stuff that you would make up,
Right.
but it's the truth. I mean, and it's because she enjoys physical activity and working. You know what I mean? And then we haven't mentioned Tom in this at all, and
Right.
Tom's obviously another person that's there, and Tom's another one. You know what I mean? I mean, like Tom just gets things done. Like
Yeah.
he figures out a way to get it done. And the thing about Tom that always got me was the math. Is like Tom's gonna. I'm not saying he doesn't look like he'd be good at math, but I mean, Tom does not look like somebody that you would expect to see sitting, with like the little green cap punching a calculator. But I wouldn't mess with Tom with math. You know what I mean? Like when he starts adding on figuring out pipe runs and stuff, it is crazy how fast he is with math.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things. Each of those things goes together and makes up what we've become. Like Ford had an idea clearly. And I heard the other day that somebody knows what his end game is, but it's not us. So I don't know that
It's
it's
not
Ford.
me either. That's the
It's
crazy
not
part.
Ford either. But we didn't have like a predetermined, like very specific plan. Berg has gotten where it's gotten because of the people that were at that dinner. You know what I mean? Like because of who they are and what they can do and how they did it and their commitment, it facilitated us becoming what we are. And then at best, you, Ford, and I are just trying to build a culture that would attract more people that want to be a part of that thing.
Yeah,
But the reality is it's the people in that room that made Berg Construction make it 20 years.
Yeah. And it's a growing group, which is fun, right? I mean, I don't want to get too far past the event we just had because it's about celebrating them for sure. But it's fun to watch that list grow. The group coming up, we got a couple people who this coming year will add that to that 10-year list. Several more who will add to that 5+ year list, and it really just is a testament of the vision, of course, and the execution by the team. So, yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I enjoy getting together with the families.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. When you
And
get to see a
one of these
spouse.
days, I'm gonna make it.
Not unless we move it to a non-lacrosse season or Aiden graduates, because then hopefully Garden Spot's not listening, but
yeah. So, but
No, I mean you get the jackets, but unfortunately you don't get to come to the
I
events
don't get
because
the
of the
dinner,
timing on it.
and I've always told how fantastic it is. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to bribe somebody. Maybe next year they'll box me up some dinner. So, yeah.
At least get a to-go bag, right?
yeah, exactly. So no, awesome. So thanks for joining us for another podcast, and congrats to our folks who have surpassed this milestone, and sincere thank you from this group, from the three of us, for making this a better place to be. So, thanks, folks. Join us again for another podcast.